It is not necessary for me to speak at any great length on this resolution, so impressively moved by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and seconded by the leader, Mr. Khaliqur Rahman. History and legend will grow around this day. It marks a milestone in our democracy's march. A significant date it is in the drama of the Indian people who are trying to rebuild and transform themselves. After a long night of ages, a night full of fateful portents and silent prayers for the dawn of freedom, full of haunting specters of hunger and death, our sentinels kept watch. The lights were burning bright, till at last the dawn is breaking and we greet it with the utmost enthusiasm. When we are passing from a state of serfdom, a state of slavery and subjection, to freedom, it is an occasion which is as happy as it is unique, that it is being effected in such an orderly and dignified way. Mr. Attlee spoke with visible pride in the House of Commons when he said this is the first great instance of a strong imperialist power transfer its authority to the subject people whom it ruled with force and firmness for nearly 2 centuries. He went for a parallel to the British withdrawal from South Africa. But all these are nothing in scale and circumstances compared to the British withdrawal from this country. When we see what the Dutch are doing in Indonesia, when we see how the French are clinging to their possessions, we cannot but admire the political sagacity and courage of the British people. We on our side, we have also added a chapter to the history of the world. Look at the way in which subject peoples in history won their freedom. How did men acquire power? Washington, Napoleon, Cromwell, Hitler, Mussolini. Look at the methods of blood and steel, of terrorism and assassination, of bloodshed and anarchy, by which these so-called great of the world acquired power. Here in this land, under the leadership of one who will go down in history as perhaps the greatest man of our age, we have opposed patience to fury, quietness of spirit to bureaucratic tyranny. With what result? That the transition is being effected with the least bitterness, with utterly no kind of hatred at all. The very fact that we are appointing Lord Mountbatten as the Governor-General of India shows the spirit of understanding and friendliness in which this whole transition is being effected. You, Mr. President, you referred to the sadness in our hearts, to the sorrow which also clouds our rejoicing. May I say that we are in an essential sense responsible for it also, though not entirely. From 1600, Englishmen have come to this country, priests and nuns, merchants and adventurers, diplomats and statesmen, missionaries and idealists. The great among them wish to modernize this country. They wish to raise intellectual and moral standards. They wish to regenerate the whole people. But the small among them work with sinister objectives. There are those who came here, who bought and sold, who marched and fought, who plotted and profited. There were also those who tried to raise this country's political status. Those who worked against this country have had also their chance now. While India is attaining freedom, she is attaining it in a manner in which in the hearts of people there is not that abundant joy, there is not that radiant smile in the faces of men. It is true that some people who are responsible for the administration of this country, of set purpose, try to accentuate communal consciousness and bring about the present result, which is a logical outcome thereof. But I would never blame them. Were we not victims, ready victims, so to say, of any kind of attitudes adopted by them? Should we not now correct our national faults of character, our domestic tyranny, our intolerance which has assumed different forms of obscurantism, of narrow-mindedness, of superstitious bigotry? Are we not the victims of these very faults which are responsible for and which have played into the hands of those who are not our friends? Well, therefore, I should like to take this opportunity to tell us it is an attitude of humility that we should adopt. It is an attitude of heart-searching. We have gained, but we have not gained in the manner we wish to gain. And if we have not done so, the responsibility is our own. And when this pledge says that we have to serve our country, we have to serve our country by removing these fundamental things which have vitiated the body politic. So far as the divided India is concerned, my attitude is avoid words of anger. They lead you nowhere. Avoid passion. That is, passion and wisdom never go together. The body politic may be divided, but the body historic continues. Political divisions, physical partitions, they are external, but the psychological divisions are deeper. The cultural cleavages are the more dangerous. And what we should do is to preserve those cultural ties, those spiritual bonds which have knit these people together into one organic whole. Patient consideration, slow process of education, adjustment of one another's needs, the discovery of points of view which are common to both the things, communication, defense, common foreign policy. These are things which in the daily round of business are bound to grow up. And it is by developing these attitudes that we can once again regain the lost unity of this country. That's the only way to it. Our opportunities are great, but let me warn you that when power outstrips ability, a great calamity will overtake us. Opportunity is all right. How are we going to use these opportunities? From tomorrow morning, we can't, from midnight today, we can't throw the blame on the Britisher. We have to assume the responsibility on ourselves. We must destroy corruption in high places. We must root out every kind of nepotism, corruption, profiteering, black marketing, which has spoiled the good name of this great country. These things will have to be destroyed. Will have to be destroyed if we want to make headway. Panditji referred to the great contribution which this country will make to the promotion of world peace and the welfare of mankind. This chakra, the Ashokan wheel which is there, that embodies for us a great idea. Ashoka, the greatest of all our emperors. Look at the words which H.G. Wells used. Highnesses, magnificences, excellencies, serenities. Among them all, there is only one figure which stands unique, shining like a luminary. Ashoka, the greatest of all monarchs. He cut into rock. If there are differences, the way in which you should solve them is by concord. Samavaya eva sadhu. Sadhu, the good, is samavaya, harmony, concord. It's the only way by which you can get rid of differences. There is no other method which is open to you. We are lucky in having in our leader one who is a world citizen, who is essentially a humanist, who bears an buoyant optimism and robust good sense in spite of the perversity of things and the hostility of human affairs. You see the way in which his department interfered actively and in a timely manner in the Indonesian dispute. That shows if India gains freedom, that freedom will be used not merely for the well-being of India, but it will be used for Vishwa Kalyana, for world peace, for the welfare of mankind. That is what it says. Our pledge also tells us that this ancient land attain her rightful and honored place. We take pride in the antiquity of this land. We say this is a land which has seen nearly 4 or 5 millenniums of history. She has passed through many vicissitudes, and at the moment she stands still, responding to the thrill of the same great ideals. Civilization is not something external, solid and mechanical. It's the dream in the people's hearts. It is the aspiration of the people. It is their imaginative interpretation of human life and their perception of the mystery of human existence. That is what civilization actually stands for. If we bear in mind these great ideals which have been transmitted to us from of old, if we so bear ourselves humbly before God, brace ourselves to this supreme task which is confronting us, and conduct ourselves in a manner that is worthy of the ageless quest of India, I have no doubt that the future of this land will be as great as its once glorious past. Sarva bhutastham atmanam sarva bhutani tatmani sampashyan atmaya jivai swarajyam adhigacchati. Swarajya is the development of that kind of tolerant outlook which sees in brother man the face divine. It is that kind of attitude that must animate us so far as our future is concerned. Intolerance has been the greatest enemy of us. Tolerance of one another's views, thoughts and beliefs, that's the only remedy that we can possibly adopt. So therefore, with very great pleasure, I support this resolution which asks us as the representatives of the people of India to dedicate ourselves in all humility. Humility there meaning we are utterly insignificant. Our efforts by themselves cannot carry us to a long distance. We are merely making ourselves dependent on that other power which makes for righteousness. The note of humility means the unimportance of the individual and the supreme importance of the unfolding purpose which we are called upon to serve. So in that feeling of humility, let us take this pledge as soon as the clock strikes 12.